Players are coming back. Coaches are rumored. And oh, yeah, tomorrow is the biggest day in Ole Miss football history. That's why Michael Katz is stopping by to tell us all about it.
You are Locked On Ole Miss, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the Locked On Ole Miss podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Willis, a 10-year veteran member of the national media and a former Ole Miss staff member. We're going to bring in Michael Katz from the Northeast Mississippi Tupelo Daily Journal to put everything that's going on around Ole Miss football into perspective. It should be pretty interesting to hear. Thanks for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen. Please give us a like, subscribe, and a comment on your way out. Check out a second listen on the network. Nearly every team, college and pro, is available. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. If you want to be right in the middle of the action, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. So that is FanDuel.com. All right, Michael, one thing that's interesting to me, there was a rash of re-signings that happened. Suntarine, Perkins, Antonio Kite, some name-type players re-signed with Ole Miss, and I do think it's important to realize that probably means they're not transferring. That doesn't necessarily mean they're not going to the NFL.
Yeah, first of all, I don't know if I'm ever going to get used to the announcements of players staying. You know what I mean? It's just USC was doing that yesterday too. Like, oh, we have re-signed Jade Mayava. And I'm like, well, yeah, he's on your team. Like, of course he's coming back, but that's just not the way it works anymore. So, but no, I mean, listen, if you're looking at important pieces to get committed to the future, it really doesn't get much bigger than those. Obviously, there's a few more you'd love to get some commitments from, but Perkins is a huge one. He and Pete Golding have always kind of been intertwined. That's a big one. Of course, like you said, there's the NFL always does loom, but at least it's got to feel reassuring for Golding and the rest of the staff that if these guys are going to play college football, it's going to be here.
Yeah, the person that everybody's going to gravitate is Suntaran Perkins resigning, but Will Echoles resigning, that was probably the really big piece.
He had such a good year.
Yeah, because this is his money year going into. I mean, well, I guess we can say that in college now because every year is a money year, but this is his draft year, so he probably wants to put some good stuff on tape.
Yeah, no, that's a big one. He has been as impactful as anybody on that defensive line this year. If you look at really when this defense kind of started to turn things around, I think it was when him and Cam Franklin really started finding their way, and it's when Prince Will Umanmielen got healthy. Like that was really when this defense sort of made a turn, at least in my perspective. Will Echoles, and again, he's a Mississippi kid. I think that's big to keep him here because listen, you're trying to recruit Mississippi too. If you can keep him here and show that, hey, look what you can become if you stay in our system. It kind of sells itself.
Yeah, and with the coaching searches going on around the team, with the rumors of Frank Wilson coming in, Austin Thomas being back on staff, all of that. Listen, I like to think, everybody talked about 4D chess with Lane Kiffin during this whole cycle in November. Pete might kind of be doing a little 4D chess right now because LaDamian Washington, he's from Shreveport. That's North Louisiana. Frank Wilson's from South Louisiana. You bring in Austin Thomas. This was a state that everybody talked about. LSU kind of recruits itself. We all know how Lane Kiffin reacts to high school recruiting, and you hear their podcasters talking about how LSU's been doing it wrong. It feels like Pete Golding, who was the original guy that just took players out of that state, is like, hey, we're going to try and go get those guys because we know you're not going to be able to.
Yeah, no, it's I think Wilson Alexander had a tweet that was like, this is like the 17th personnel move between Ole Miss and LSU since Lane moved. And I'm just like, this really sounds like it's like an MLB trade. It's like, okay, like when is player to be named later coming over as part of this deal? But no, I mean, Pete has done. Listen, obviously, it remains to be seen what the on-field product looks like, right? We have no idea what he is going to look like as a head coach. At least, I think we have our opinions. I think we think he's doing good. He's done all the right things, but those sorts of personnel moves, I think, show you that he wants to surround himself with the best possible people and people that can help them reach another level. And honestly, if this probably is a little bit personal for with the Louisiana stuff. I don't know if you saw it today, but Lane actually retweeted me with my Pete Golding story and then had to delete it. I'm not sure what happened there. I think he flew a little close to the sun.
Yeah, he retweeted Leonard Fournette talking about Frank Wilson too,
Mm-hmm.
and showed a video of Leonard Fournette running over Deontay Anderson when he played for Ole Miss in 2017. Listen, Lane's going through some stuff this week, man.
Yeah.
This is literally one of the worst weeks of his life, and as long as Ole Miss is playing football, it's going to continue to be really weird.
Yeah, it's all very odd, and like I looked and like I saw the retweet, I was like, oh man, we're doing this again. And then I looked maybe like half an hour later, it was like, oh, oops, nothing to see here. I was like, oh, okay, so someone said, hey man, you probably shouldn't be promoting Ole Miss anymore. It's probably not in your best interests right now.
Yeah, especially whenever somebody has to be saying, it's like, you better be right, because Pete Golding just got the person that has signed like 17 5-stars to LSU, and LaDamian Washington, very good on the North Louisiana corridor as well. And Pete Golding is excellent, along with the former LSU general manager, whose job was to know all of the coaches around there. You better know what you're doing, because if you don't, and all of a sudden you drop an 8-5, we're going to get run out of here.
Yeah, no, this was always going to be an interesting situation with Pete and Lane being on different staffs now. But it's getting especially interesting with the personnel shuffling between the two staffs. It's listen, as a wise man once said, get your popcorn ready. This feels like I think we're heading in that direction again.
Yeah, September 19th is going to be a movie.
Should have been on Halloween though.
Yeah, oh, it absolutely should. Halloween night, that matchup. It's like, no, come on. And they chose not to move it to Halloween because they needed the bye week so Lane can go pee down his leg before Alabama again. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. But September 19th is going to be a movie. The first year is never a finished product.
No.
Everybody that thinks it's going to be the way it works. Nick Saban went 6-6 his first year at Alabama. Georgia went 6-6 with Kirby Smart his first year. Lane at Ole Miss went 5-5 his first year. The first year is always a difficult thing when you're transforming systems and all of that. So coming into Oxford, and you're going to have a relatively set system to where all the expectations are known. I think it's advantage Ole Miss. There's going to be some talented players, but it's LSU. You're always going to have talented players.
Yeah, that's never been the issue. It's really the only coach that I can think of that has gotten it done in year one is Curt Cignetti, and that's I think that's the list.
And he essentially brought his James Madison team over.
Yes. But even like Urban Meyer's first year at Florida was okay. I think his first year at Ohio State was really good, but they weren't eligible for the postseason, if I remember correctly, because of a tattoo gate with Terrell Pryor.
Oh, I forgot about that.
I remember correctly. But yeah, very rarely do you get. Listen, you hire Lane Kiffin to do to LSU what he did to Ole Miss, but like this is year 6 of this at Ole Miss. Like it's probably not going to look like that, at least immediately.
Yeah, it should be pretty interesting. Anyway, when we come back, we will talk to Michael about the biggest game in Ole Miss program history against the Tulane Green Wave. I'm telling you, as I think about it and look at the stats and all that, I think it could be a rout as we get closer to this game. We'll talk about all of that coming up next. You know, the holidays show up faster than we expect. And if you're still putting together gifts, last minute decor, or getting your home ready for guests, Wayfair has you covered. Whether you need a quick room refresh, now bedding, or those final seasonal touches, Wayfair makes it easy to get what you need fast. Wayfair truly is your one-stop shop for everything home, with decor, furniture, kitchen essentials, and gifts for every style and every budget. They are all delivered quickly and easily. It's so easy to shop by style, too. It helps you pick pieces that actually fit your home instead of guessing. The Wayfair items you order will instantly refresh your space without a big project. Get last minute hosting essentials, gifts for all your loved ones, and decor to celebrate the holidays for way less. Head to wayfair.com right now to shop all things home. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. And the NFL Sundays move fast. One big play, and suddenly everything feels different. That is what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching a game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets on the action as it unfolds, every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift, a receiver getting hot, the defense tightening up, or a momentum flip after a turnover, or a fourth down stop that you went for in your own 25-yard line up by 10 points. FanDuel lets you jump into the moment. Live spreads and money lines that adjust instantly, player props update as guys heat up, and you can bet the next touchdown scores, drive results, totals, and more. It will keep you locked into every snap, every drive, every possibility. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, so can you. Do us a favor, like, subscribe, and comment on the video. Subscribe to the podcast and whichever audio podcast you're listening to, and give it a 5-star review. It costs absolutely nothing, but it helps keep all of this free. Thank you for making Locked On Ole Miss your first listen of the day, and thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast in the world. You already live your team every day. Now take it up a level and go ad free. Join the Everydayer Club today and get Locked On Ole Miss with no interruptions, members only Discord access, and more, all for just $5 a month or $50 a year. Go to lockedonolemmiss.supercast.com or check the link that's down in the show notes to learn a little bit more. All right, Michael, one thing that's interesting, I've heard rumors that they just went stupid with the pricing and trying to do things in Oxford. And there's a lot of people, it sounds like it's going to be a sellout. It's going to be a madhouse. That's not what I'm saying. But I think watch parties are going to be used because people are like, hey, we're going to the Sugar Bowl next. If you get past Tulane, and there's just a group of people planning on that. For instance, I'm at the Tampa Rebel Club watch party with a live pregame and postgame show. They're going to be offering $2 drink specials, $2 shots, the Hottie Toddy, the Mississippi Sippy drinks, their signature cocktails, or a Beef O'Brady's in Tampa, Florida is going to be a lot of fun. But that's in Tampa, Florida. So if they're doing it there, what are they doing in Atlanta and Birmingham and all those other locations?
Yeah, no, it's I can tell you for a fact that the ticket market was very inflated. My parents are coming to the game. They're actually on their way out here now. It'll be their first time ever watching an Ole Miss game in person. And I can confirm the tickets were pretty hefty. But, you know, again, it's sold out, so people are willing to pay it. But I think if you're on the fence and you're trying to think, you know, optimistically and long term, like, hey, you know, obviously one more game in the VOT would be great, but, you know, maybe you look at the bigger picture here of in a few weeks. You know, I don't know. I think some people are going to have to make choices on that, and that kind of sucks. I wish they were all affordable. That'd be nice, but unfortunately, the college football gods are not, or I guess the ticketing gods are not that nice. But yeah, no, it's going to be crazy. I'm excited to see the environment. But yeah, I mean, I imagine that, you know, sports bars here are probably going to do a heck of a business too. because I know people who aren't going to be able to go, but they, obviously they still want to have as close to the same experience as you can. What better place than, getting a few beers at the local sports bar? It's almost the same, except it's a little cheaper.
Yeah, and getting to the restrooms a little bit. Well, it can be a little bit quicker.
I was going to say not always, but yes.
Yeah, it can be. I remember one time when I was in college, going to Ole Miss, and we went to the library, and it was like a 45-minute wait for the men's room. And the men's room. Now, I understand on the other side of the hall.
Yeah.
But that was the men's room, and I was like, oh, that would be terrible. But it should be interesting to see. In this game, listen, the closer it gets to it, all I can think of is Ole Miss is better than Tulane on the offensive line going against their defensive line. Ole Miss is better on the defensive line and linebackers going against their offensive line. And Tulane has the number 122 ranked pass defense in the country when it comes to passing yards. The closer this goes, it feels like the first game was not a mirage. It was not a fluke. But I do think Tulane's offense is going to play a little better because fourth downs and plays that could have been made in Ole Miss's territory were not. So I think it's going to be like a 38-24, but Ole Miss is going to be in control of this all the way.
Yeah, it's hard for me to see a world where Tulane can contain Ole Miss's offense. Again, the pass defense numbers are striking to me because you think of John Summerall and these great defenses, and the defense is overall pretty good. But yeah, 255 yards a game, I think it is. They do pick off a lot of passes. I think they have 15 picks.
They are opportunistic, yeah.
But Trinidad doesn't throw picks. So it's, it kind of negates itself to an extent. Listen, Trinidad in his second start at this level threw for 307 yards. Against Tulane, and he ran for I think 112.
Yeah.
And he is leaps and bounds better than he was there. So, I do expect Tulane. This does not feel like a game where they're gonna. Retzlaff completed his first pass, with like a minute left in the first half. Like it doesn't feel like that kind of game. But I think personnel wise, it's going to be hard for them to get a really, there could be some explosive plays. That's always, that can always happen. But I just don't see them marching consistently down the field on Ole Miss. Again, I know that, no two games are ever the same and they're expecting a different team, but my eyes told me that Ole Miss was significantly better. Were they 35 points better? I don't know. That was the final score. But there was no question who the better team was. And I just don't, again, I could be totally wrong, but it's just hard for me to see Tulane closing the gap that much in 3 months.
Yeah, and Tulane's a little bit better, but Ole Miss is a little better too, especially on the defensive side of the ball, which gave them a ton of trouble the first time they met as well. Anyway, when we come back, we're going to ask Michael, the insider, who is the person most likely to get the second chance that Ulysses Bentley didn't get last year when the grudges are now gone? What's the player that's going to step up potentially in the playoff that we just hadn't heard much during the regular season for one reason or another? Stand by. We will talk about Michael Katz. Talk to Michael Katz about that in just a second. You ever feel like your money just disappears each month? It happens fast. A few subscriptions here, an impulse buy there, and suddenly the numbers in your bank account doesn't match the numbers in your head. Rocket Money helps you manage your money, get clarity, track every dollar, and stay in control of your finances, because managing your money should not feel like a second job. Rocket Money does the heavy lifting for you so you can save more and stress less. Rocket Money finds subscriptions you forgot you were paying and helps you clean them up quickly. Seeing all your spending on one dashboard makes it easier to understand where your money is going. I like how Rocket Money automatically builds budgets based on past spending. It helps keep track without overthinking it. Take control of your finances and cancel those unwanted subscriptions with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. rocketmoney.com/lockedon. All right, Michael. One thing real quick. All right, you had to push that button real quick. All right, Michael. When you look at this season, like everybody knows the 2024 story of Ulysses Bentley. Not exactly what happened, just how it happened. And Lane has always been a person that held grudges. From famously against Tulane in 2023, Aiden Williams got a random false start penalty on the outside. You didn't see Aiden Williams again. I mean, it was quick. Michael Trigg dropped a touchdown pass on Monday. He was gone off the team. Lane Kiffin is famous for these grudges, and we talk about the Ulysses Bentley in 2024. Which player that we didn't know anything about that maybe didn't get playing time has a chance to show out in the playoff run this year?
That's a really good question. I feel like there weren't any obvious grudges this year, and maybe I just overlooked it.
Well, that's because Ulysses Bentley was a starter. That's the reason it was obvious. Yeah. But like Aiden Williams, you wouldn't know anything about it unless you just sat there and looked at it.
Yeah. I don't know if it's going to be because of that, but I do think a guy who has a chance to make at least more of an impact than he did in the regular season potentially is Luke Hasz, because coming back from that injury, I don't think he ever really got his stride. Now it's been a couple of weeks. He's had a couple of weeks to kind of get back in. I've always, he was a huge addition to that team coming out of the portal. And he just hasn't really ever looked quite right. Trace Bruckler has obviously, kind of become the number 2 tight end behind Daquan. But it feels like, again, assuming that the injury stuff is gone, like maybe this is when you see him start to look like the guy they thought they were getting.
Any chance you see a package with all of a sudden Caleb Cunningham on the outside?
Just thinking about that too, boy. Again, forgotten man, the 5-star all everything. I mean, Winston Watkins has been such a big piece. And if we were talking about freshmen who were going to step up, he probably wasn't my number 1 on the bingo card when the season started. You probably looked at the 5-star top 20 player. But yeah, I think he has one catch this year, Caleb Cunningham? I think it's 1.
Yes. Yeah, he called AJ Maddox his only pass.
Yep. Yes. I could, this is the time of year where we throw everything out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can't, for lack of a better term, leave anything in the clip. It's if it's there and they can help you and they can provide winning football, you do it. And to Pete Golding's credit in the press conference, which, by the way, how refreshing has these Pete Golding press conferences been? Because if you ask a question, you get a thoughtful answer to where he's like, hey, I know what's going on. You can see it on tape. I'm a really smart guy, and I don't think there's anything you can do about this, as opposed to, hey, there's an injury report. We're going to make that into a farcical joke to the point where nobody pays attention to it over the week. It's just 180 from one another.
Yeah, no, it's you get so used to the way it was. And we've had a few press conferences now with Pete, and it's just I'm not saying one was better than the other, that, whatever, teach their own on how they handle it. But it has been nice to get thoughtful, deep answers on pretty much anything that we've asked, even stuff that normally might be kind of off limits. Or if it's even a non-answer, you still get an answer, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know. I went to J school. I have a broadcast journalism degree from Ole Miss. And the one thing that bothers me, I don't do the big J journalism talk and all of that, but as a society, it's shifted over to where journalists seem to be only concerned about the what. It's never the why. It's the what. Everything is about the what. He said this. Well, why did he say that? I don't know. That's kind of the era that we live in now. Pete Golding gives you the why. He's like, I'm going to do this, and this is why I'm doing this.
Yeah, you might not even ask for it either, because you're not expecting a coach to actually care enough to do that. That's just not how a lot of coaches work. No, it's been a breath of different fresh air is probably the best way to put it.
Yeah, he's really good. And listen, we haven't seen Pete be a head coach. We haven't seen him go on the field. But if this game is anything like the last 2 weeks have been, Ole Miss is going to be fine.
Yeah, I mean, he has handled everything to this point about as picture perfect as possible. And you got to trust the football mind to do what it's going to do. So I think Ole Miss has to feel pretty good right now.
Yeah, and the greatest answer that we got in the press conference was probably from Brian Brown whenever he got up there and he described Pete Golding as having answers for answers. And whenever you think about that for a second, that's a pretty deep statement.
No, it's the assistants speak quite glowingly of him.
Yeah,
that says a lot.
Yeah, it should be pretty interesting to see when the game kicks off on Saturday at 3:30. Reminder: I will be at the Tampa Rebel Club watch party on West Himes Avenue. Go to my profile at the Stephen Willis on Twitter. The address is on there. I'll be doing a live show pregame, a live show postgame. Should be a lot of fun. Tomorrow morning, we'll have a pregame show with David Johnson at like 7 o'clock in the morning. And then at midnight, we will have a show with the mayor of Corinth himself, Tom Vanderford. We're going to blow out this game as much as we can. Michael, what do you have going on at the Daily Journal for this game?
I wrote a pretty, I guess you could call it extensive story.
It was fantastic. It was fantastic.
I appreciate that on Pete Golding and kind of his career arc and history, and talking to some of the really important figures in his career, which was an absolute blast to write. Obviously, the typical preview kind of stuff that should all be coming out tomorrow, and then of course game day we'll have you covered.
All right, Michael. Thank you very much. How busy is Oxford before we get out of here? Is it a zoo yet?
I'm about to find out because I got to go. I'm headed up to the Memphis airport in a little bit here, so I'll actually I'm gonna. My parents are actually staying at a hotel, so I will be near the square tonight. I'm a little worried.
All right, so I'll have to figure out how that goes. Shoot me a text message. Let me know if it's crazy. So take care, man. Enjoy the game and enjoy your parents, because it's pretty cool that they're coming back. This will be their first experience on this playoff game. I haven't even seen one of them, so that's pretty lucky for them.
Very, very, very grateful that they're coming out.
All right, take care, bud.
Thanks, bud.
Thanks again for tuning into the Locked On Ole Miss podcast. Like I said, we'll have David Johnson the first part tomorrow. We'll have the mayor of Corinth on here. We'll have 2 live pregame show and a live postgame show from Beef O'Brady's in Tampa tomorrow. Make sure you subscribe, follow the show, and you can get all the episodes. We are on all of the social channels, so check that out as well. And also, did Locked On Ole Miss make your Spotify Wrap? Prove it on social media to secure a free month of our brand new Everydayer Club. Just tag our National Locked On Network account on any social platform, and we will drop you the code. Be one of the first to join the Everydayer Club to get your favorite show ad-free and exclusive access to the members-only Discord channel. For those of you on video, we'll send you to the first ever 24/7 National Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel. On audio, make sure you find a second listen, either Locked On SEC or Locked On College Football. Hotty toddy, everybody. The biggest college football game in Mississippi history is one day away. Hotty toddy, everybody.